every session we start with a little bit kirtan. Kirtan means you sing and you glorify the Supreme Lord. When you glorify God, that is called as kirtan. And when many people do it together, it is called as Sankirtan. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
Those who are online, can you hear me? If you can hear me, you raise your hands and give me some confirmation. Okay. Jaya Radha युगधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की श्रील प्रभुपाद की. So we'll just take a break for 1 minute. There is some problem in the connectivity. We'll be back in 1 minute. Hare Krishna. So we are back. This is life lessons from Vedic scriptures.
I think all of you must have got our memo or a card in which you saw. For those who are coming for the first time today, what is your expectation from this session? What is there in your mind which has brought you here? What do you expect? So that I can adjust myself according to the expectation of the class. What is your expectation? What do you hope to achieve?
Delicious dinner.
We'll fulfill that expectation. Apart from that, yes, why have you come? There must be something in your mind that you'll get some solution or some life lesson. So what kind of life lesson you want to get? You need peaceful life, so that's why you have come. Good.
Very stressful life.
Very stressful life. Okay, what is your expectation? Life lessons.
I want to concentrate on studying.
You want to concentrate on studies. Are you a student? Okay, what do you study? Which? Very nice. Which year?
Second year.
Very good. Welcome. We welcome students and professionals. He is also a student. Which class you study? 5th standard. Let's see. That's the range. As a speaker, it's very difficult for me, to adjust myself for 5th standard and this professional speakers, professionals also. What is your expectation, Abhinay?
So that I was feeling very strange living in a co-living space. So I thought it's better to get the devotee association more and chant that.
Very good. So you came here to get association of like-minded people. What is your expectation, Shivam?
Be peaceful.
Just to have a good time. Yeah.
Very sacred place and
You like coming here. What is your expectation?
That's good. I'm already at peace. I don't have a stressful life. I'm happy with that. I just wanted to explore these strong things and be like very talented. I had to post just leave everything and get into that. So I wanted to just explore this what's so strong driving force that people work hard for 50 years in life to get into those institutions, become IS and all, and then leave everything to want it. So just a excitement to look into it.
You are the toughest candidate today. We'll try to satisfy you. Anybody else? What is your expectation? Yeah. Siddharth, you want to know who you are. Very good. We have a very pious crowd here today. One thing I can tell all of you that all of you are very spiritual people. It is very much evident from your presence here. It is very much evident from your eyes. It is very much evident from the kind of questions you are asking. It is very much evident by the whole body language and the demeanor which you have. So therefore, this kind of sessions are meant for you only, life lessons from Vedic scriptures. And today, because Janmashtami is approaching, when is Janmashtami? 19th of August. So we are trying to prepare our consciousness for Janmashtami. You move a little bit this side. People behind are not able to see. Yeah. Thank you. Everybody is able to see? You can have eye contact with me. So today we thought of preparing our consciousness. Every year we celebrate Janmashtami without even knowing the value and the importance of Janmashtami. That is one of the major festivals of India. So this year we want to know what we are getting into. What is this Janmashtami? Why do we celebrate it? Of course, the basics everybody knows, it's the birthday of Lord Krishna. But who is Lord Krishna? Why should we celebrate him, his appearance? Rather, I should just celebrate my birthday. Why should I celebrate someone else's birthday? Why should I spend, every ISKCON temple spends lakhs and crores of rupees on Janmashtami to bring the message of Gita, to bring the message of Bhagavatam, to bring Krishna Prasad, to bring the culture of Vedic India and the Sanatan Dharma to everybody. So why is it done like that? What is the purpose? All that we want to understand today. So therefore, today's session's title is Life Lessons from Krishna's Pastimes. Makes sense? If we understand and if we can derive some life lessons from the activities which Lord Krishna has done, will we be able to love him better, appreciate him better? Will we be able to look up to him better? That's the ideal discussion topic, and that's the motive of today's session. We want to, God in general is a very misunderstood personality. Because we do not have proper understanding of God, so therefore we don't serve God. We don't appreciate God. Rather, there are a certain group of people who say that I am only God. You are God, I am God, everybody is God. As if God is very cheap. So today, the whole goal is to remove or demystify the personality of Krishna, demystify the demystify the personality of Krishna, demystify the devotees of Krishna, and we can see how much great God is. We can understand how much great the devotees of God are. And we'll try to listen to all this with an unbiased mind. Okay, let's give it a shot. We have tried so many things in life. Let's hear in an unbiased way and give a shot to this whole personality called Krishna and try to see, is he worth following? Is he worth appreciating? Is he worth idolizing? Is he worth looking up to? We'll try to understand that. But before I try to present Krishna or God, I would like to seek blessings from my teachers who have taught me the science of Gita, the science of Krishna consciousness. I pray that I may be able to represent them in an unadulterated way. I pray that I may speak the best of what I've learned from them. I pray that I may be able to somehow or the other transfer this message of Krishna consciousness into your hearts by their mercy and by the mercy of the Lord. In order to seek their blessings, I'm chanting some prayers. Those who know, they can repeat with me. Those who don't, just try to hear it very attentively. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanda Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. We are discussing life lessons from Krishna's pastimes. So there is a very nice book called as Krishna book. I don't know if we have it here.
Having.
Can you show me? I'll show it to everybody. So there is a very nice section of the Vedic literature, which is called as Puranas. The word Puran means history. What does it mean? History. So these Puranas, they have recorded the history of this universe. The Vedic literature do not talk about the earth, but they talk about at the universal platform. It talks about the various planetary systems. It talks about the interplanetary space travels. It talks about what is outside this universe. It talks about what is inside this universe. It talks about how this universe coexists with many other universes, so on and so forth. So there was a literary incarnation of Krishna known as Vedvyas. Vedvyas was a very specific category of incarnation who was empowered by the Lord to write something very nicely. Before this Kali Yuga, in Satyuga, Dwapar and Treta and Dwapar, the memory of people used to be so strong that there used to be no books. People would hear something for once and they would remember it for a lifetime. That capacity is called as Shruti-dhar capacity. Still, there are some people, if they hear something, they'll remember it. Shruti-dhar. They heard it, they remembered it. But as Kali Yuga came in, with Kali Yuga came different problems, such as the Srimad Bhagavatam Puran says, Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyo Padrata. The characteristic of the people of Kali Yuga is that they are very dull, both spiritually as well as materially. Very less intelligence. Especially in spiritual subject matter, they really can't appreciate anything. Very less intelligence, very dull, very slow in processing things. Dull, lazy, slow, less intelligent, lack of interest in spiritual subject matter, short lifespan, lack of memory. And Mand Bhagya Upadrata. Even amongst all these people of Kali Yuga, if there is someone who is interested to know what is the purpose of life, is my life simply meant for paying the bills and quitting my body? Is my life simply meant for eating nicely, sleeping nicely, having sex nicely, and defending myself nicely? Eating, sleeping, sex, and defense, is that the purpose of my life? So when there is a person who is in this category, he wants to know what is the purpose of life, there are so many people to misguide and mislead that person also. So that's another misfortune in Kali Yuga. So therefore, when Vedvyas saw during the Kali Yuga started, the total span of Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. So out of which 5,249 years have passed. Approximately 5250 years have passed. So many years remain. A lot of crap is remaining to come. So there is another chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam which is called as the Predictions of Kaliva. Very nicely it predicts as Kaliuga will progress, what great calamities are going to happen. And some of it has already started. For example, the predictions in Kaliuga, I'll mention few. One of the predictions of Kaliuga is that as time will progress in Kaliuga, cows will disappear. I think we all know why cows will disappear. And then it is said that the trees will become smaller. As Kaliuga progresses, there will be no rain. And there will be no rice, wheat, grains, nothing. Literally, people will eat just leaves and seeds. And after a few thousands of years, I will eat you, you will eat me. This is Kali Yuga progression. Already there are some societies on this planet Earth which eat their own relatives. Do you know that? There is a particular place in Africa where once the grandfather becomes old, enough. We waited enough for the old man to die. He's not dying. And they literally do it and call it as a feast, and they invite the whole village. Another prediction of Kaliuga is that people will think that just simply by growing hair, I look very handsome or very beautiful. This tendency will be there in Kaliuga. They'll think that by growing hair, they look very beautiful. Another tendency of Kaliuga is that people will not have bath. They'll have no fixed time of eating, no fixed time of sleeping, no fixed time of bathing, no fixed time of getting up, no fixed time of sleeping. Everything is unroutined. And when somebody does anything not in a disciplined, routined way, it reduces their lifespan. If you don't eat on time, it will reduce your lifespan. If you don't wake up and sleep on time, it will reduce your lifespan. If you don't have bath on time, it will reduce your lifespan. It saps the human energy. Another prediction of Kali Yuga is that as time progresses, there will be no such thing as marriage. People will just stay with each other on verbal agreement. And when the interests are over, they will change and go to other places. I think we are already seeing all that happen. Another prediction of Kali Yuga is that the government will start taking almost 90% of your money as tax. Already I know of a country, I think it is Germany, where they take 45% of your salary as tax. A time will come where the people will be forced to work for more than 20 hours a day. Is it happening? Not yet, no? But it will happen very soon, right? So there are many such more predictions. I don't want to depress you, but this is Kali Yuga. So in the same book, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ved Vyas has written 18,000 verses. How many? 18,000. And he has systematically divided into 12 cantos. How many? 12. So in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the pastimes of Krishna are mentioned. Okay. And the summary in the 10th canto contains around 5,000 verses. But this is a very nice book called as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a summary of all those 90 chapters which are there in the 10th canto. And it is translated, there is no shloka approach here. It is translated into 90 short stories. And there are some very nice photos also, paintings. Those who are online, they can also see. So while reading these short stories, which are basically direct translation of the shlokas, when you read this, you'll be seeing the photos and then you'll be able to correlate. And I guarantee that anybody who reads these 90 chapters will make a significant progress in understanding who is God, what is the definition of God, who is Krishna, what is his personality, what is his character, what is his pastimes. You'll understand. You'll become a good authority on the subject matter of God if you read this book. And now this is not mythology. What is the difference between mythology and history? Can someone say?
History is already happened, and mythology is like some assumptions and myths and everything.
Yes. So very, very smartly, some of the British and the pre-British time translators of our Vedic literature have named or termed the Vedic literature as mythology. Mythology means myth, something which has never happened. And it has been put into our education system, in our blood, in our whole thought process. I was explaining the other day, I think in some other class, that how the Britishers understood that until unless we completely uproot this Vedic education system and this culture of agriculture in India, we cannot rule this country. And so they brought in people who falsely and very, disgustingly translated the Vedic literature into English. And when the so-called Indians, when they read that, they became disgusted. Oh, our Vedas are so foolish. Better to just not read them. What should we do? We should just become followers of the British. And after that, they spoiled the agriculture of India by forcing the farmers in various ways, by bringing in so many machine-made stuff, and by bringing in the so-called green revolution. Did you know that before using these fertilizers and tractors, 1 acre of land was producing 50 times more than what it is producing now? That's the reality. After this green revolution of fertilizers, pesticides, tractors, and so-called modern irrigation system and hybrid seeds, the production has gone low by 50 times. Earlier, people used to have 2-3 bulls and they used to spend time in the farm. The production was 50 times higher. So these are some of the facts. And this book describes what Krishna did in Gokul, what he did in Mathura, what he did in Vrindavan, what he did in Dwarka, etc., etc., etc. Daily routine of Krishna. I remember I started my Krishna consciousness with this book. Someone gave me this book and I started reading it. Actually, no one gave me this book. I think in my college, I was went to go and meet one of my friends, and in his room, I saw this book. And I became very attracted to this book and I started reading it. And the more I read, the more happy I felt. So from this Pastimes of Krishna, I have just taken some snapshots of what is happening in Krishna Leela. And from there, I will try to help you understand in a very brief way how each and every pastime of Krishna or the devotees of Krishna is so interesting, and we can derive so many life lessons out of it. Hence, the name of the session is Lessons from Krishna's Pastimes. Are you ready for it? Do you think you'll have a good time? I'm telling you, you're a very positive audience. Sometimes people say, let's see whether we'll have a good time or not. But thank you. So, we'll go to that point where Kamsa is driving the chariot of his sister. What is the name of Kamsa's sister? Devaki. You know who's Devaki? You don't know? Okay. Okay. So Vasudeva and Devaki are the father and mother of Krishna. And Devaki was the cousin sister of Kamsa. You know who's Kamsa? Okay. Kamsa was the demoniac king demoniac brother and the demoniac king of that clan. And Kamsa was a very, very great, powerful ruler. With the help of his strength, mystical strength, physical strength, and the strength by chanting of mantras, he was able to defeat all the other demoniac forces on the planet. Just so that you can understand who Kamsa is, I will tell you. There was a very great elephant whose name was Kuvalyapida. In Krishna Leela also that elephant comes. When Krishna is entering along with his brother in Mathura, they make that elephant Kuvalyapida drink a lot of wine, and hoping that as Krishna and Balram will enter, the elephant will kill them on the gate only. So that elephant was one of the strongest elephant. It could fight with 100 other elephants at the same time. That was the strength. So that elephant belonged to another great ruler called Jarasandha, another demoniac ruler. So when he came to meet Kamsa, basically fight with Kamsa, he sent that elephant first. Kamsa came running out of his palace alone, single-handedly, and he held that elephant. Imagine the strength of Kamsa. He just revolved that elephant like this and threw him in the air, and the elephant came flying 80 miles and fell in front of Jarasandha. That was the strength of Kamsa. I'm not glorifying Kamsa. I'm just trying to create the contrast so that you can imagine what a great villain he was and what a great hero Krishna was, that he just killed him with one shot of his hand. So this Kamsa was a very demoniac ruler, but somehow he had some sentimental attachment for his sister, Devaki. So as Devaki was getting married to Vasudeva and was leaving for the house of Vasudeva, an Akashvani happened. A prediction from the sky came that foolish Kamsa, the person whom you are very nicely seeing off, your sister, the 8th child of your sister will become the cause of your death. This prediction came. And then immediately Kamsa's whole psychology, sentiment, emotion, relationship towards her sister changed in one moment only. This is the difference between a devotee and a demon. A devotee of God is paradukha dukhi. He becomes sad when he sees others in distress. But a demon, he likes to put others in distress. And the only or the biggest priority of the life of the demon is his own sense gratification. The first priority of a demon is his own lusty desires. The first priority of a demon is his own greed. The first priority of a demon is his own anger. And he wants to just keep satisfying his lusty desires, sense gratification. And anybody, be it father, mother, daughter, sister, neighbor, countryman, relative, anybody comes in that path, they will remove them from the path. So Kamsa saw his sister as a great trouble. Because these demons, they don't like to die. Although they know that everybody has to die, but they try to prolong their span of life. So immediately Kamsa took a sword and he held the hair of Devaki and he was about to slice the head of Devaki. At that time, Vasudeva intervened. And Vasudeva said, please release my wife. I think there's a picture of that here. You'll be able to understand better if you see the photo. Yeah, this is the picture. This is Kamsa with the sword in his hand. And this is Vasudeva trying to stop. And then this is Devaki, whose head is about to be sliced off. And these are the other people who are just not able to tolerate it or see the sight. For those who are online, you can see it. So, now people may say, what is the big deal here? I'm going to die. I have full right to defend myself by killing the person who is the cause of my death. But this was not the case in the previous 5,000 years ago. It was very uncommon for a great ruler or a heroic person to raise his hands on a woman. How many of you have heard of Putana? Putana? You have heard of Putana? No, she's not the sister of Kamsa. She is another demoness who came to kill Krishna while Krishna was in Vrindavan. So this Putana, you can sit there. So this Putana was the sister of another demon called Aghasur, the snake demon, who had come to kill Kamsa. So when Kamsa had defeated Aghasur, Putana came to fight with Kamsa, and Kamsa said that I cannot fight with women. That is the culture. Even demons used to refuse to fight with women. Now, in that age, for a ruler like Kamsa, who is famous all over the planet, he holding the hair of his own sister and trying to slice her head. Do you think it's very, very abnormal? He doesn't feel like killing a demoness because she is a woman. The Aryan culture or the Vedic culture says that anybody who is a ruler or a strong person or an administrative person should not raise hands on old people, children, women, and animals like cow, etc. So he was clearly violating. He thought that if I'll fight with this demon, even if she's a demoness, a witch, basically, it will be a violation of code of conduct, so I'll not fight with her. So seeing Kamsa's heroic nature, she surrendered to Kamsa. Now that same Kamsa is about to kill his own sister. Do you think it's very abnormal? Do you appreciate this point? No? You appreciate? No? Yes? Okay. So, Vasudeva is trying to save Devaki. And Vasudeva is known for being very, very gentle, very, very truthful, very, very non-diplomatic. But then if you see this section is called as Kamsa Vasudeva Samvad. In that section, you see that Vasudeva is trying to appease Kamsa. He started talking to Kamsa saying that you are a great ruler. You have so much name and fame all over the planet. It doesn't suit you. We are at your shelter. Like that, in a very appeasing way, he started talking. The Bhagavatam describes that when you are talking to people who have a demoniac tendency, first you should praise them. First you should glorify them. Because demons, when they hear their own appreciation, their ears will open. And then they'll start listening to you. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a very nice chapter, chapter 16, called Divine and Demoniac Natures. In that, the first 4 verses of the chapter tell you what are the characteristics of people who are divine. And the remaining 14 verses of the chapter, there are only 20 verses in that chapter, a short chapter, maybe you can read it today only as you go home. We'll share the link. Or you can pick up a Gita and read for yourself. So the last 14 verses of the chapter, they tell you what are the characteristics of the people who are demoniac. Very nicely. Demon doesn't mean somebody who has 2 teeth and 2 horns and fangs and tails and nails. Demons sometimes look very normal. They may be wearing a black t-shirt. They may be wearing a dhoti also. Demons look normal. It is the consciousness which you have, which defines whether you are a demigod or a demon. Can I get the Gita for some time? English Gita, do we have? Good. I'll just read 2-3 verses and then people will realize, yeah, what a demon means, because unless I explain, the discussion cannot go further. So this verse says, Prasanna Vadanam Bhojo Nrishamsham Nirapatrapam Manasa Duya Manena Vihasan Idam Abravit. Translation: Vasudev's mind was full of anxiety because his wife was facing danger, but in order to please the cruel and shameless and sinful Kamsa, he externally smiled and spoke to him as follows. That's the translation of this verse. But before that, I'll cover some demoniac tendencies. Chapter 16, page number 647, the Bhagavad Gita. It will be good if everybody can carry the course book with them. So, some of the verses I will just cover. Verse number 4, pride, arrogance. Please listen to me. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to the demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. Verse number 7. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. That means they do not have the ability to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. Intelligence doesn't mean how much money you earn or how much inventions you have made. It simply means how to discriminate what is right and what is wrong in the time of crisis. And then, neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in demons. So if you find somebody who doesn't live in a very clean way, you know which category they belong to. So therefore, they say cleanliness is next to. Very good. You're the only person who knows it seems. Now, what do demons say? Listen very carefully. They say that the world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced by sex desire and has no cause other than lust. This is what the demons say. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works which is meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work and are attracted by non-permanent things. Many of us will be finding it very familiar, huh? Quite close to my description only. Now, what do the demons believe? They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. When you go to Europe, they have a slogan: beer will change the world. I don't know how, but somehow it will. This is the next line. And then the only thing which they do is, you go to any gathering in Europe, they'll say, just keep drinking. This is the another slogan. And there is something very common in Europe, that is beer and barbecue. There will be beer and they'll be burning some live animals. It's horrible. And if you do not engage in these two activities, you cannot become anybody's friend only. I've been to a part of Europe where I struggled for 2 years to make a single friend because I would not drink beer and I wouldn't eat beef. Because I was not a beef eater and a beer drunker, nobody used to invite me only, nobody used to talk to me only. And they used to think that not drinking beer and not eating barbecue is like a very bad thing. They didn't know that there is something superior to that. For them, the only purpose of existence was be and be. That's what it is said here. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of their life, their anxiety is immeasurable. They are so much in anxiety all the time. Bound by a network of hundreds and thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. They think like this. A demon thinks like this. So much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes tomorrow. So much money, so much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him. And my other enemies are also going to be killed. I am the Lord and enjoyer of everything. I am perfect. I am powerful. I am happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform some sacrifices, and I shall give little bit charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. Now you understand what demon means? These definitions of demon are quite close to our heart, no? There is a reason why we have taken birth in Kali Yuga. Come on. Without the practice of Krishna consciousness, every Kali Yuga living entity is a demon. To be honest. You may have a great PhD degree with you. You may have a great amount of, you may be the son of Ambani. Come what may. But until unless you have this culture or the knowledge of the Gita, and until unless you apply it in your life, by birth everybody is a demon. Because what things which I'm talking, this is the state and condition of everybody. So when you talk to such demons, they feel very happy when they hear their own glorification. They feel, yeah, you are the only person who understood me. So Vasudeva was very intelligent. He started glorifying Kamsa. Now, the material world in which we live is so complicated that to execute one's duty, sometimes it becomes impossible to be able to avoid diplomacy. If Vasudeva wouldn't have spoken like that, Devaki would have been killed. And then the interest of Krishna would have been compromised. If Devaki has died, then how will the prophecy that the 8th child is going to be the killer of Kamsa, how will that prophecy come true? So what Vasudeva did is very glorious. You please listen very, very carefully. Not for his sense gratification. He understood. Because earlier it was told that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead can kill Kamsa. So he understood that the 8th child coming from the womb of my wife is going to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, I have to protect the interests of God. I have to protect the interests of the devotee of God, that is my wife. So therefore, I should do anything and everything which is necessary to do this. This is the difference between demoniac behavior and devotee behavior. A devotee of the Lord does everything for the benefit of the world and for the benefit of the interests of the devotees and for the benefit of the interests of the various activities related to Krishna. But a demon like Kamsa only cares for himself, even if it means that his own sister is being killed by his own hands. I think all of you know how Kamsa killed the first 6 sons of Vasudeva on a stone slab with his own hands. I think all of you know that. So Vasudeva tried to appease Kamsa, but the cost was very great. What was the cost? He said that as soon as a child is born, I will myself bring him to you. And then Kamsa did whatever he had to do. So the point which I'm trying to make here is, we have to conduct ourselves according to the time, place, and circumstances to protect the interests of God and the devotees of God. And that is what we learn from this behavior of Vasudeva. He was very famous of being a person free of diplomacy. But to protect the interest of Krishna, he chose to become a diplomat. Please understand, people become diplomats just to get some money. People become diplomats, bureaucratic, just to satisfy or hide some ghotala, some corruption. But here is a great soul, Vasudeva, who has tried to go against his nature by becoming diplomatic in front of a demon, that is Kamsa, trying to appease him, trying to say things which are not truth also. He's telling you're a great man. We all know Kamsa was not a great man. So he is speaking like that. Why? To protect the interests of Krishna. So sometimes to spread the message of the Gita, sometimes we have to act like that. Sometimes we go out on the streets to distribute the Bhagavad Gita. So if I go like this with my book in my hand with a smile on my face, they'll say, "Dur jao. Don't want anything." So sometimes I keep the Bhagavad Gita like this. And then I approach him. "Hi, what's your name?" "My name is this." "Where are you from?" And then I strike a conversation. And then I bring in the Gita. And then somehow I put it in their hand. And then they start seeing it. "Oh yeah, it's a nice book. And you know, this is told in this book. You see so many other, this Gita is read in Tompkins University, Catholic University, and then University of Southern California, and then this, that. And then I start showing them some pictures. I show them, okay, this is the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. Where are you? Then they say, "Oh, I'm here." And I say, I'm here. And then we strike a conversation. And then we just go on to the next page. In this way, I just spend some time glorifying the Bhagavad Gita to them. And then they take it. But if I go in the first way only, I'm here to sell the Bhagavad Gita to you or distribute the Bhagavad Gita, nobody will take. I have a personal experience. I was once distributing the Bhagavad Gita in one apartment community. It had 200 houses. And I had a desire that all the houses should have one Bhagavad Gita. So I was going with my friend who used to stay in that apartment. But what I noticed was that as soon as I used to ring the call bell, they used to see from the, what is it called? They used to see from the hole in the door, and they used to see me, and then they used to never open the door. So I understood that's the problem. So I started putting my friend in front of me. You see, his name was Deepak. I used to put Deepak in front of me, and they used to say, "Oh, Deepak, huh? He lives in flat number such and such. Yes, come." And they used to open the door, and then I would be smiling in front of them, standing. Now you see, someone may say that this is dishonesty. But what is the result of this dishonesty or diplomacy? The result is that a Bhagavad Gita went in that house and they started reading it. One may say that this is a trick, but by that trick, they became God conscious. So do you think it's a good trick? Yes. If someone can trick you to Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, I think that's the best trick of the life. So therefore, Vasudeva tricked Kamsa in believing him. Vasudeva was known to be a truthful, non-diplomatic person. So when he said that, "Don't kill my wife, I will bring all my sons to you. You are such a great person. It will not suit you if you kill your husband, sister." So Kamsa heard that, understood that if Vasudeva is saying it must be the truth, let me follow, let me leave the sister now. So the point which I'm again and again trying to highlight, that for the purpose of protecting the interests of Krishna and the devotees of Krishna, even if it is needed to become a diplomat, it is good. That is what we learn from this pastime. Moving on. When Krishna came into the, God comes in a very, very different way. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjan naiti mameti swarjuna. Krishna says, if somebody can understand factually, tatvatah, not in a sentimental way or not by watching some TV serials, if somebody can understand the divine nature of my birth and my pastimes, Janma karma chame divyam. Is your birth divine? Is your birth very special? You don't know. It's not special. Let me tell you. What's your name? Adi Kumar. Adi Kumar, if you don't feel bad, let me tell you. You got this human body. You got birth in a particular family. Did you choose that? You did you have any control over that? No. That means, according to the laws of karma, you were forced. You had no choice. You were forced to enter the womb of a mother and take birth in a particular circumstances. This is the difference between your birth and God's birth. God chooses. He can go in whichever way he wants, wherever he wants, whatever time he wants, in whichever species he wants. So your birth and my birth, we are forced to take birth in the womb of a mother of a particular species. Now we are in the human species. According to the laws of karma, we may be in some animal species next life. Transmigration of soul. But this is not valid for God. That is why it is mentioned that when Krishna he decided that I want to appear on Ashtami. Which day? So all the constellations, they rearranged themselves in the sky to produce a nice effect. When you and me are born, we see what are the constellations and then we calculate. But the constellations themselves rearranged to welcome God. Do you understand? When you were born, what did you have with you? Nothing. Not even the teeth and the hair which you have right now. But when Krishna came, you have to read the description. He had a full hair on his head. He had 4 hands with which he had appeared. This is not mythology, trust me. If a 7-year-old boy can counteract the law of gravity and lift a mountain called Govardhan on his pinky finger of the left hand, do you think it's very great if he appears with 4 hands? No, he can do it. So he appeared with 4 hands holding Shankh, Chakra, Gada and Pushpa. And he was wearing very nice dhoti, very nice waist belt, very nice Kaustubha Mani. That's the way he appeared. How many of us even wore an underwear when we took birth? It's not possible. So that's why Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. Our birth, disease, old age, death, lifespan is controlled by mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. But something which is above the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance is called divya or transcendental. What are these goodness, passion, and ignorance which I'm talking about? Can someone explain me? Modes of nature. Yes. Can you explain more?
The nature is divided into 3 different modes.
Correct.
Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Correct.
Goodness is like a person is situated in knowledge and knows what is right and wrong. In passion, the person is more interested into the sense gratification and acts accordingly. In ignorance, that person is not acting as per the Shastra, doing whatever he likes, and eventually faces several problems in life.
Very good. I think we have to give him some extra whatever sweet which we have made today. Very good. Very clear definition. You can read more about it in the Gita also. I'll just explain from a perspective of experience. How many of you have tried or have an experience of being awake between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.? How do you feel at that time? Huh? That's because if you have slept at 2 a.m. and woken up at 4 a.m.
I have actually tried multiple times, like there is something called Brahm Muhurta.
Yes.
I tried waking up, but failed miserably. So I now rather prefer sleeping at 4 a.m. rather than waking up. I have tried multiple times.
Okay, we'll help you.
Definitely.
But anybody who has woken up at 4 a.m. in the Brahma Muhurta, one Muhurta is of 48 minutes. So 2 Muhurtas before sunrise is called Brahma Muhurta. So 96 minutes before sunrise is the Brahma Muhurta. How many of you have experienced the Brahma Muhurta? Good. Why do these bars, pubs, and discotheques close during that time? And why do they start only in the night? Have you heard any bar, pubs, or something working in the Brahma Muhurta? It's not possible. Because that is a time of the day when the mode of goodness is prevalent. That time you don't get any phone calls. That time nobody writes you an email. That time nobody sends you a female. That time no neighbor comes to you. You know, you can just sit peacefully and do what you have decided to do. And that Muhurta gives you an edge over the entire world, actually. That's called Brahma Muhurta. Just like a person who wants, or a person who is in the business of wool, very eagerly waits for the winter time so that he can sell more winter wear. So similarly, anybody who is targeting to understand what is spiritual life, they have to be awake in the Brahma Muhurta. Because that is the time when the body consciousness is very low. That is the time when lust, anger, greed, illusion, enviousness, and attachments is low. That is the time when you don't think that you are a man or a woman, you are an engineer or a doctor, you're a student or a professor, you're an Indian or an Australian, German or a French, you're a cat or a dog. You don't think like this. Somehow you are free of this body consciousness at that time. And then if you carefully practice and make it a habit, then you'll realize that doing spiritual activities in the Brahma Muhurta is very favorable. Just like in the Brahma Muhurta, you go to any lake, you find it very calm. So your mind is very calm. It is easy to control your mind while doing any activities in the Brahma Muhurta. The moment the sun rises, the mode of passion starts. I have to get this, I have to buy that, I have to finish this, I have to talk to this, I have to, take another loan, or, take another credit card, or go to office, or do something, or that is called mode of passion. And the moment the sun sets, mode of ignorance kicks in. And that's the time when all these bars and pubs, this Ravi bar, everything will open at that time. So this is called mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Now there is something even beyond this. That is called as Divya, transcendental. That which is not affected by the modes of material nature is called Divya. Janma karma chame divyam. The nature, the name, the form, the qualities, and the pastimes of the Lord are Divya. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvata. One who understands the transcendental nature of my pastimes and my appearance, what will happen to them? Tyaktva deham punar jannayati mameti swarjana. After they quit their body, that means after they die, they never take birth again. That means what happens to them? They go back to the spiritual world where they have come from. Spiritual sky. Good answer. Who gave that answer? Very good. They go back to the spiritual world, the spiritual sky, commonly known as Vaikuntha. And there are various degrees of Vaikuntha. So they go back to the spiritual world and they stay there eternally with Krishna, where there is no birth, no death, no old age, no disease, nothing. Simply, if you understand the divine pastimes of Krishna scientifically, factually, by asking questions, not sentimentally, tattvata, this knowledge will liberate you and you'll never take birth again. And through this session, I'm just trying to give you a glimpse of that knowledge in very brief. More you'll understand when you'll read the Krishna book, or when you'll read the Bhagavatam, or when you'll read the Gita. But in this section, I'm just trying to cover it. So when Krishna came into the womb of Devaki, now Krishna is the cause of all causes. Later on, we'll see in Vrindavan, when he eats mud And when Mother Yashoda sees in the mouth of Krishna, she sees the entire universe. So, all the universes, they reside in the body of Krishna. So therefore, the Brahma Samhita says, Ishwaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. Now, this personality who holds all the universes within him has got inside the womb of Devaki. So therefore, the verse says, Sa Devaki Sarva Jagan Nivasa. Sarva Jagan Nivasa means the person who is the abode of all the universes. Who is that? Krishna. And Sa Devaki Sarva Jagan Nivasa Nivasa Bhuta Nitaram Nareji. He got inside the womb of Devaki. So they basically, Devaki became the holder of all the universes. Now, by the mercy of the Lord, inconceivable things also become possible. But then what happened? Bhojendra gehe agni shikhe varuddha saraswati jnana khale yathasati. Devaki then kept within herself the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the foundation of the entire cosmos. But because she was under the arrest in the house of Kamsa, she was like the flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot, or like a person who has knowledge but cannot distribute it to the world for the benefit of human society. So when Krishna came in the womb of Devaki, she started glowing and she became very beautiful. All the people in the jail of Kamsa, where she was captured, could see her and understand her, that now the time has come, that eighth child has come. Even devotees of God, they are very spiritually very effulgent. You can feel that spiritual purity and strength just by sitting next to them, or just by coming in contact to them, you can feel like that. If a devotee of Krishna only can create such a calming, soothing effect on anybody, then imagine what Krishna can do. So when he entered the womb of Devaki, she started glowing very effulgently. And even the demons like Kamsa could see that and understand that. The time has come for me to die. Kamsa was thinking like that. So what he did, he had put Devaki under the arrest. And then in that prison house, she was carrying the Lord. And that has been compared by an analogy. What is that analogy? She was under the arrest of house of Kamsa, and she was like flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot. There is a lot of flame and then some pot in that they are cooking. These days, pot biryani is very famous. I saw some ads while coming. Authentic pot biryani. So suppose a pot is being kept. Do we have biryani today? आज क्या बना है? Pulao bana. ठीक है, pot pulao. So when the pot is kept on the flames of fire, the fire is not clearly visible, but the fire is there. So the point which I'm trying to say here is that anybody who tries to serve Krishna or become a devotee of Krishna, they become very powerful. They become very spiritually effulgent. And anybody and everybody can see that. To see the spiritual, to see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna was given divine eyes. But to see the spiritual effulgence of the devotees of the Lord, you don't need divine eyes. Even demons can see. So Devaki, who was trying to carry Krishna in her womb, everybody could see her beautiful effulgence. And if we also somehow or the other carry Krishna in our heart, carry God in our heart, carry the name of God on our tongue, then we'll also become very surcharged and powerful, and demons will not be able to approach us. That's the point which I'm trying to say. Now, Kamsa tried to arrest Krishna by arresting Devaki in his prison house. What was the result of that? He, along with all his opulence, was completely finished. The same thing was done by the leaders of India also. The real knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita was being choked by the unscrupulous leaders of India at one particular point of time. As a result of that, the India's culture and the knowledge of the Supreme has become lost. Please understand, leadership is meant not for giving free ration and free credit cards and free student loans and free idlis to people. That's what our present day politicians do. Leadership is meant for giving spiritual education to everybody. If I'm your leader, and if I cannot reduce the lust in your heart, I do not have the qualification to be called your leader. If I'm your leader and if I cannot help you to understand what is the purpose of life, I don't have any right to be your leader. If I'm your father and if I cannot spiritually elevate you in such a way so that you come out of the cycle of birth and death, then I have no right to become your father or mother or spiritual master or king or demigod or whatever. That's the verse in the Bhagavatam. It says that if a person cannot liberate his dependents from the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, then that person has no right to become a father or a mother or a king or a spiritual master or a demigod. So leadership is meant for giving spiritual education to people. Leadership is meant to make people understand what is the purpose of life. Purpose of life is not simply sense gratification. The purpose of life is to understand, like someone said, who am I? To know this is the purpose of life. Why do I exist? To know this is the purpose of life. Who is God? And what is my relationship with God? What is the purpose of my life? These are some burning questions. The real purpose of life is to be able to overcome death, overcome old age, overcome disease, and overcome birth. Now, because the present day scientists are not being able to solve these problems, so they are simply distracting everybody with some temporary problems such as pollution, traffic, ozone layer depletion, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But the real problem is this. What is the definition of a problem? How many of you are students of logic here? Have you studied logic as a course somewhere till now? So according to the rules of logic, any problem can be a real problem only if it satisfies these three criteria. Number one, this problem should be a universal problem. That means everybody should be facing this problem. Number two, nobody should desire to have this problem. And number three, nobody should be able to solve this problem. Only if a problem satisfies these three criteria, then it's a real problem. Now you tell me some problem. Other than the death. Diarrhea. Okay, diarrhea is a problem. Is it universal? Everybody in the world has diarrhea? It's not a real problem. Poverty? Is everybody poor? Does everybody not want to become poor? I can tell you names of few people who really want to become poor. I can tell you name and I can give you the number. You call them, you ask them, they'll tell you, my father is a billionaire, but I want to get out of my house. I want to run away and I want to start some small dukan somewhere or do something. They want to become poor. Tell me another problem. Pollution. Is it universal? Are you sure? What if you go to Mansarovar? Do you see pollution there? Anyways, even if you say it's universal. Number two, are you sure that everybody in the world wants no pollution? You may want no pollution, but are you sure of those industrialists who are releasing so much industrial discharge somewhere? Do they really want no pollution?
The creatures, those who are living outside of this planet, they might are not aware of this, so they will not be much interested in this topic.
Yes, it's not a universal. Let's not talk at the planetary level, by the way. Good point. It's not a universal problem. So the only problem which is universal to everybody, which nobody wants and which nobody can have any solution to, is birth, death, old age, disease. Even if you go to Swargaloka, there is birth, there is death, There is old age. There is this. Even if you go to Patal, but even if you go to Brahmaloka, birth, death, old age, this is a common problem. So to solve this problem, you need the message of Gita. You need the message of the Vedic scriptures. And because the Indians' unscrupulous leaders were trying to choke this message of Gita and the Vedas and trying to become puppets in the hands of the Britishers, that is why the opulence of India and the great knowledge of India is lost now. So leadership is meant for giving spiritual knowledge to people. And what we learn from this pastime is that this lesson, that just like Kamsa tried to arrest Krishna consciousness within his prison house, similarly, if there is anybody who's trying to arrest this message of soul and this God consciousness, they will all be destroyed. At a point of time, India was called as Sone ki Chidiya. Where is that Sone ki Chidiya now? As long as India was spiritual, people were interested to come from far and wide and observe its great spiritual wealth. But the moment it lost its spirituality, everything went away. So the lesson which we learn from here is that don't run behind Lakshmi. Run behind Narayana. Because wherever there is the Lord, Lakshmi will automatically follow. Don't run behind economic development and opulence. Run behind the source of all opulence, that is Krishna. Then everything else will follow. So that is what we learn from this pastime. I would like to conclude today's discussion in a very short way, and then we can take some realizations with a very nice incident which helps us to understand Vasudeva and the nature of Vasudeva. Vasudeva, when Krishna appeared as a 400 form baby in front of him, then he ordered him that you please pick me up from here and take me to Gokul. Vasudeva was thinking, okay, my 7 sons have died. Maybe when Krishna will come, he will wipe my tears and he'll hug me and he'll say, Father, I'm here. Mama, I'm home. And he'll spend some time with us. And his one smile will wipe away millions of years of suffering. Just thinking like that. But when God appeared, he said, my dear father, please pick me up from here. I have some other important business in Gokul. Drop me there. Bring somebody else's child back to this prison. And again, continue your business. Now, let me tell you the position of Vasudeva at that point of time. He was in shackles, both hands, neck, waist, leg, complete shackles. And it was a very high, tight security prison house. There were 7 doors in that prison, and each door was very heavily guarded. There was a slab system which would work with the opening and the closing of the doors. If anybody tried to meddle with it, the heavy slabs would fall down on them. And to add more to this, there were some lions sitting on each door. It's a very high security prison. And Krishna told him, lift me up from here and take me there. Now consider the position of Vasudeva. Anybody from medicine here, practicing medicine, doctors? Okay. Suppose, I like giving this example for doctor because it's very relevant and everybody gets it. Suppose if you are a doctor and in the last 30 days, whomever you have touched like this has died. After getting your diagnosis, after getting your medicine, and after paying your fees, they have died. 30 days, 30 balis. And on the 31st day, someone comes and tells you a very critical surgery is there. And we need to do it at any cost. You please come. What will you feel? Probably you'll feel that you'll tell to that person, I'm not even a doctor. You'll be in so much low self-esteem. Probably you'll feel like burning your medical certificate. You'll be thinking what your professors taught you in the college. You'll be thinking how you wasted your father's money. And you'll be like, I want to go in and become underground for the next 5 years, like that. Vasudeva's situation was like that. He was an administrator. He was a king. He was a Kshatriya. His job is to protect people. And on the day of his marriage, he could not protect his wife. He and his wife were thrown in prison house. While they both were in prison house, Kamsa very strategically drove away all the residents of Vasudev from his kingdom, captured them. Not only Vasudev, but all the neighboring associates of Vasudev. 18 Yadava clans were forced to flee and live in caves and mountains out of the fear of Kamsa. That's a big defeat for a king. And it doesn't stop there. When the first child takes birth, he could not protect his wife, he could not protect his kingdom, he could not protect his fellow men. And now his own child is taking birth. And he has to see his own child being killed in front of him. Such a worse. He would have lost all Kshatriya nature only. Like I'm a useless person, he would be thinking. Now, when Krishna appears, he gives him a very easy task, right? Pick me up, cross this high security tight prison, and take me to Gokul. If anybody else would have been there, he would have told, sorry, sir. I have failed in the last 7 years very miserably. I'm no longer Vasudev. Or else they would say, thank you for the order, but what about these shackles? Or they would say, but what about the lions who are waiting to eat me? Or what about those 1,000 security guards which are there in this Mathura prison? Can you please give me the Google map location of Gokul where you are asking me to take it? Is there any Uber cab or Rapido auto which is available? And have you sent the WhatsApp message to Nand Maharaj? How will I exchange the daughter who is sleeping there? And how will I come back? 1 second. It's raining very heavily. Have you booked a steamer boat for me to cross the Yamuna? Vasudev did not ask these questions. He had full faith in the instructions of the Lord. Therefore, please listen from me. Only a person who understands that I am not the doer. I'm just an instrument in the hands of the Lord. Only such a person can take such an instruction. Therefore, elation in success and moroseness in failure. Please listen very carefully. Elation in success and moroseness in failure, both are symptoms of false ego. But Vasudev was free from this. So therefore, as Krishna told him that you pick me up and you take me somewhere, he did not ask anything. He just followed the instructions which came from God. So therefore, in our life also, there will be instances where we are in a very pathetic situation, but we get some instruction from a reliable source to do something. We may feel in our heart that I'm not qualified to do it. But the moment, irrespective of our qualification, irrespective of our situation, the moment we try to wholeheartedly execute the instruction of our superiors or our spiritual authorities, I repeat, irrespective of our qualification and irrespective of our disqualification, the moment when we try to execute a spiritual instruction coming from God or his representative, in that very moment, empowerment happens. So Vasudev did not think anything. Krishna ordered him, he just tried to do it. And as he tried to pick up the baby Krishna, the shackles broke. Is it something very great? Actually, it's not great. Those who carry the names of Krishna on their tongue by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. For them, the shackles of birth, death, old age, and disease break. Is it something really great if some old rusted iron shackles have broken away? Is it really great? So then, as soon as Vasudev tries to go and walk, all the 7 doors, they open up. Is it something very great? It is great. Is it great or not?
Yes.
Those who carry Krishna in their heart, for them, the gates of the spiritual world also open. So what is the big thing if some gates of a prison house open? And as soon as Vasudeva was walking out, all the guards, they fell asleep. Is it something great? Sorry? Those who chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. For them, the lust, anger, greed, illusion, enviousness, and attachments in their heart go to sleep. So what is the big deal if some soldiers go to sleep? And so like this, you can extend this analogy. The point which I'm trying to say is that if we also chant the names of God, associate with the devotees of God, read the Shastra or the Bhagavad Gita, which talks about God, and if we eat Krishna Prasad, A, B, C, D, association of devotees, B for Bhagavad Gita, C for chanting Hare Krishna, and D for diet of Krishna Prasad. If you do these four things, A, B, C, D, then all problems in your life will also disappear. Does it make sense? It makes sense. It is this is the only thing which makes sense, by the way. You have to understand this. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. And those who carry God in their heart, soul, and mind, they are the one who perform miracles. Why? Because they become humble instruments of God. Okay. So on that note, I would like to inspire all of you to prepare your consciousness for Janmashtami. The great personality, Krishna, whom I'm talking about, I have not yet discussed his Janma Leela. But before the Janma only, you see so many great miracles are happening. So just imagine on the 19th what is going to happen. So how many of you are interested in preparing your consciousness for Janmashtami? Please raise your hand. That you really want to welcome Krishna in your life. It's okay if you don't want to welcome. But you see, others are wanting to welcome. Would you like to welcome? Yes? You just have to raise your hand. I will not ask you to pay anything. So it's free. Welcoming Krishna in your heart and life, welcoming Krishna means welcoming the message of Gita in your heart and life is free. We don't charge you anything, but the gain which you get is priceless. Just like you have a manual for a washing machine, similarly, you have a manual for life. That is the Bhagavad Gita. This is called Life Lessons from Vedic Scriptures. And at this point, I would like to conclude. We'll do one small exercise today. And we'll feel how these devotees like Devaki, Krishna, Nanda, Yashoda, how they would feel in the presence of Krishna. What it means to be in the association of God, we would like to experience that for a small time. So we would like to chant this Hare Krishna for some time. Are you all, do you have 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Anyways, you have waited for so long. 5 more minutes, bhi chalta hai. Can we distribute the beads to them? Do we have beads? So we'll give you some beads. This is a very ancient method of keeping track of what you have done. If it can be measured, it can be done. Can you please repeat with me? If it can be measured, it can be done. So we have to chant the names of God, and we'll distribute some japmalas to all of you. Holding, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So I'll just explain to all of you. You see, we are distributing some beads to you. This has 8 beads like this. 108. Okay. So there is a bead which has a tuft of thread or a bunch of thread coming out. This is called as the head bead. You have to hold the beads with your middle finger and your thumb. You don't have to use your index finger because this represents false ego. We don't want false ego in our spiritual practice. Okay. So generally I keep my bead, in order to keep it clean, I use a bag like this. And then I put out my finger like this and my hand in like this. And then I chant. I hold one bead and I say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then I move on to the next bead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this, when I start from here and I come till here, then I have covered 108 times the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So therefore, I can claim that I have done one mala. How much?
One.
You know how much time it takes to do one mala?
7 minutes.
Do you have 7 minutes for God? It will help you to prepare your consciousness for Janmashtami. In fact, it is our desire that from now, at least till the day of Janmashtami, if you can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then you will have that divine consciousness to receive Krishna. Janmashtami is a very divine birthday party. But only the most qualified and the most intelligent and the spiritually awake people can celebrate this Janmashtami. Just imagine what horrible things the whole world is doing on the day of Janmashtami. Simply, if you rejoice nicely and be happy and be spiritually awake on the day of Janmashtami, the gain is unbelievable. Okay, so what we are going to do now is called as mantra meditation. What is it called? In the next session, I will explain how doing this mantra meditation not only connects you to God, but it also helps you to control your mind. How many of you think mind control is very easy? Okay. So this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra helps you to control your mind. Okay. So let's chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for some time. Please repeat with me one mantra which we do before beginning our chanting. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Now hold the first bead, not the head bead, with your index finger and not your with your middle finger and thumb, and don't use your index finger. And let's chant for the next 7 minutes in unity, in unison. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Thank you very much, all of you. Very, very grateful to all of you. What we just did is called as mantra meditation. It's a very glorious activity. And we end today's session now.